I'm using 14 inches of 18 gauge round soft copper wire. You could be using square if you want to. I'm going to wrap a cab that's round, that's about 10 millimeter round. I think I'm going to go for this glass one. It's a little bit deeper. It's about 4 millimeter thick. I'm going to find the approximate center of my wire here at 7 inches because I started with 14. Take round nose pliers, grip the center, put a thumb below and a finger above close to the plier, and then just turn your plier and turn your other wrist against the wire until you form an S shape. You want to make this S shape large enough to fit the bottom of your cabochon like this. That's about good. Once you get that, you can regrip, hold steady, and take the extended wires around, make like a circle around the S. You're going to work with these wires opposite of each other the whole time, so it's like a spiral galaxy. Once you get the circle around your S, push the two arms up slightly. If your cab is thinner, make sure you go lower and not so high, and they should fit your cab just like that. Hold real tight and start to circle around the cabochon. The wires should stay opposite of each other, so I'm here at like 90 degree, and then I'll switch. I'll come to this one. You're making a coil, so you're moving slightly inward and slightly up as you work up along the cab. Get your first turns, and then make sure that this bottom bit is centered before you continue. Once you get that, go ahead and come back here. You're going to keep coiling around your cab until you reach the upper soft shoulder of the cab. So I'm making each turn come to about 90 degree, and then I'm switching wire here. I've got about, this one should do it. When you end, you should end them opposite of each other, and that's pretty good right there. I'm above the soft shoulder of my cab. It's real stable in the wire. So now I'm going to grip the wire with a pair of chain nose pliers. You could do this with flat pliers too. You'll grip just about 1 millimeter off the cup. Make sure you hold all the coil steady and do a very sharp turn down, 90 degree down. Turn the cup around, hold the top of the coil, grip the wire about 1 millimeter off the cup, and make a sharp 90 degree turn down the side of the cup. So you've made like a pin. Okay? The tension on this upper coil goes this way. On this one, that way. So when you bring it on your cuff, you want to keep the coil going in the same direction. So this leg goes over and this leg stays on this side. So when you make your wraps, the tension will keep the bezel coil tight. So I'm just going to get up here against my center mark. I'm going to make sure that both wires are touching the cup. Touching the bracelet. It's a little bit squirrely until you make these first couple of bends. Hold it steady, focus on one side at a time. Keep your thumb up top and make sure that upper coil doesn't pull too far onto the cab. Get a real close bend right here into 90 degree and go all the way around, just like that. Don't worry if it's not super tight just yet. We want it to jiggle a little until we get them both on. So now we'll do the second one. Hold the upper coil tight. Get that first 360 wrap nice and tight. Just like that. And now you're on the bar. You're on the bracelet. Take a plier and you can squeeze right there. Get yourself tight onto the bracelet. Make sure you're centered right here before you do. Squeeze that wire down tight, and that'll lock up this cab on top. And now you can just go around this bar. I like to do a 360 and then pinch it tight. Do another 360 and then pinch it tight. Continue until you reach that mark, or you can just count them. That's about 6. Then I'll just turn the cup over. Make sure you're still center. Make sure everything's still tight. Hold the gem cup center on the bracelet and go all the way around. Use your plier to squeeze tight. Be careful you don't push your gem cup off center as you're working here. You know, I'm holding it, but make sure, you know, don't push it off center. The wire gets kind of hard to maneuver because it's getting tight. Okay, so that's about 6 on both sides there. Use my plier and I'll straighten these wires out. You'll just cut them down till there's about a 1/2 inch to work with. Take your round nose plier, get right on the end, grip tight, make a tight turn into the bracelet, and just create a cute little coil or spiral. You can use your plier and tighten things up. Then repeat on the opposite side. Try to get that spiral right on the cuff. And there you go. Should be nice and locked tight, really clean bottom, and nice tension on the gemstone cup, so it should feel super secure. All right, you guys, I hope you enjoyed that. These are so much fun, and I hope you make a lot of them. So stick around, I'm going to show you one more. To make something like this, it's super easy. We're going to start with 10 inches of 20 gauge round soft copper wire. So I have 10 inches of 20 gauge round soft copper wire, and I've got a dowel that is about 8 millimeter in diameter. I'm going to start with this dowel, and I'm just going to reserve the last couple inches here and hold on to that, and I'll go around my dowel until I have only a couple of inches left. About about an inch there. Let's make it an inch. That's about all we need. So I've got about an inch left over on either side of my coil. I'm going to take it off my dowel. 20 gauge is pretty soft, so I'm just going to use my fingers and press the coil down to get it started. And then I'll use my nylon jaw to flatten this out a little bit more. Try to flatten them so that the rings fall evenly apart. Doesn't have to be perfect. It's kind of neat when it's a little irregular. Just do love taps. Don't squish it all the way down. You want there to be some room for the bracelet to be able to come through. You'll take your bracelet and just work it into the coil, or work the coil into the bracelet. Come to the very center of your bracelet. My marks are kind of rubbed off of this one, but if you had your marks, the center of this coil would be aligned with the center of your bracelet. I'm just going to kind of eyeball it here. When you get up here, take metal pliers that are flat. Your chain nose pliers will work. And gently squeeze down the last 2 or 3 coils. Make them a little more narrow. Just work patiently. And then come to this side and do the same. Just gently tap the sides and make these last couple of coils more narrow, making sure you're in the center. And we can take this last one. You're holding everything tight right here. You're going to make a nice tight wrap. Try to move along with the coil. It'll pull maybe that last one a little tighter, and that's okay. You can just tap it. Hold it right there and get another little wrap on it. There's about a ½ inch left, so I'll just leave that. You can make love taps along these coils to help them lay down, shape them a little more narrow. Just work, one coil moving inward so that you kind of get a tapered look on it. So I'll just tap these out a little bit more. I'll take this last one, hold your coils right here, go underneath the cuff, real tight, and come back around, tap it, try to do one more. Ooh, I didn't leave myself enough there, so I'm just going to go once, so that I have about a ½ inch here that I can do, and I'll just tap these a little bit more narrow. Here at the end, and tap them flat against the bracelet. Just shape them a little bit. You want to make these taps right here pretty tight once you get the coils laying down the way you want them, so that it doesn't travel off the bracelet later. And I like to just, tap these, make some irregular fun funk right there. Tap them down this way a little bit. Tap them this way to make sure they're flat. Okay. Then with the same ½ inch here to work with, you can take your round nose pliers. Make nice tight spiral. Okay, like that. Nice and tight right there. Then come over here, get your round nose plier. Make a nice nice spiral onto the bracelet. Use a metal plier and tap it tight. Okay, and that should look pretty good. If you have any little scratches here where you were tapping, whoop, just get 800 or 1000 grit sandpaper. You can just give a little buff. I like to harden this up in place, make sure that it doesn't slide, by either getting on my bracelet mandrel or getting on my anvil and tapping this down with my mallet, rubber mallet. So I'll get my metal cuff mandrel, get settled onto there, just making an example. And with my rubber mallet, I'm just going to tap this entire coil. That hardens up the coil, and that feels pretty good. And it shouldn't slide off of this bracelet, but if you feel like it's going to, once this is polished and patinaed, you can put the metal sealant on here. I always seal my copper, and that will stitch this in place. But it should be just fine. A little jiggle is just fine. I think you would really have to wreck the bracelet to get the coil off. And that just makes a really beautiful, elegant look. Okay? All right, you guys, I hope you enjoyed these 2 bracelets. And I hope you enjoy making these big cuffs. Again, 5 or 6 inches once it's hammered out makes about a 6, size 6 cuff here, a little smaller. My wrist is a little smaller. If you use 6 or 6.5 inches, this should hammer out to about a size 7, maybe 8. So just go in between there, give it a go. You can always, if it's too big, you just trim off a little bit and a little bit on each side, re-round the ends, and, then reshape it a little smaller. All right, you guys, have fun, and I will see you for the next one. Thanks for being here. Please give me a thumbs up if you enjoyed this project, and come back for a lot more. Thanks again. Have a good one.